The TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by HDA ModelWorks, suppliers of scale lighting products, detail accessory parts, and complete model kits. Visit HDAModelWorks.com today.
Hello once more, everybody. Boyd here with you. Well, welcome to part 3 of our 1/25th scale Batwing by AMT. Everything's working out really good here. I wanted to show you how I'm working on the wings now. The wing on the right is completed on the top, at least. I'm still painting on the bottom, but it's been all glued together and all the lighting's in it and everything. There's the little kind of flipping door Gatling gun thing that goes on there. You can't put that in until you get ready to put it onto the fuselage. But here's the paint scheme. You can see I did all that shading on the, little panels here individually, and then I dusted over it again with that iridescent blue so it matches everything else. Looks just like the box art. Looks really, really cool. And over here we have the second wing getting ready to go together, getting ready to glue it. Before I did, I wanted to show you what we got going on inside here for the lighting. Here I have the lighthouse LED. That's the long rectangular shaped. They lay flat. I showed that in the first video. That's a really awesome light. It's a 5mm. It's about as bright of a white LED as you can get for that size. And again, I wanted to have that really, bright floodlight coming out of the front of this thing, and it works great. I'll light it up here in a second on the other side. But I had to file a little bit just to get a little bit of plastic out of there. I didn't want to, shave the LED down at all. I wanted that to be full size. So I shaved a little bit of plastic out of the top of the wing here and the bottom of the wing, and it fit in there just fine. But everything's such a tight fit farther back that I couldn't even put a resistor near the LED. I had to run that, all the way out on the end of my wiring here. And test fitting everything, the wing fits together really good. Over here, I've got a single 0805 red SMD. It's the flickering effect. Best I could do on the machine guns. I didn't want to put a board in this, to give the flashing effect. So they kind of, do this little up and down thing, and it looks good enough for me. I'll have these on a separate switch too when I want to have them on and when I don't, and so that's going to work out really good. But here I've got a single flickering red SMD, 2 fiber optics coming off of that, and then to the machine guns on the front. You can see them up here on the top side. So after I did that, I sealed it all in with some more of the solar res. This has all been paint blocked. Now this LED I just glued in with regular CA glue, and then I painted all over it to get it all light blocked. So that way I don't have any light leaks around the seams. If I have a little gap or something in here, it's not going to leak light out of there. But the wings fit together really, really good. So same thing, covered this all up with solar res. The emitters here where they come out of the wing. The whole SMD right here, and then painted over that so all those light leaks are gone. Okay, so over here we have the lighting. You can see the guns there, the 2 machine guns. They'll kind of flicker a little bit, give you a little indication that they're firing or breaking up a little bit. And then here's the floodlight on the front. If I can get straight onto this thing, these are super, super bright. I've got my exposure turned down on the camera here, but it's so bright you can barely even stand to look at it for more than a few seconds directly in your face. But that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to be really bright and look really good. Now on the bottom of the fuselage too, there's 2 more white SMDs. I'll show you those when we get to that part. Just ahead of the landing gear, that's the lower landing lights. And I just did those with regular 805 SMDs. They don't have to be as bright as this. So that worked out really good. So what I'm going to be working on here is I'm going to go ahead and get the other wing glued together. Going to continue getting it prepped, fix the seam and everything. And then when I start doing some of this panel painting, I'll show you a little bit of that and show you how I'm doing it. It's not too difficult at all. All the panels are really well detailed on this, defined. You can see them. You can use your. I'm just using regular masking tape, painter's blue tape. Nothing special, but I prepped these. Like I said, I scuffed these all down, with a double-aught steel wool, really good. And then I put adhesion promoter, 2 coats of satin black, and then these little highlights are in gray. And then I came back over that with a little bit of the iridescent blue, and you can see it showing up there just like it does on the fuselage. Not overdone though. Like I said, I wanted it to, and when the lights are not on, it looks black. If you know, a light reflection doesn't hit it, the whole thing looks black, which is exactly what I wanted. I didn't want to have it looking blue all the time. That's the beauty of that iridescent paint. It only shows up when the light hits it. You know, you can see it kind of disappear just like that when you turn the lights off. It's a lot more subtle. And you know, the plane looks pretty much black in the movie. But I just want to do this little extra thing on here because I think it looks really cool. And like I said, I did it on the '89 Batmobile, so it'll kind of match. But okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'll be working on the wing here. When I come back, I'll have it laid out, and we're going to be starting doing some painting on it. Once we get both wings done, we can glue it to the fuselage, and it'll start looking like the ship. You know, it's looking pretty good. Be right back. All right, so here we are over in the painting area now, and I'm getting ready to do some of the paneling detail on the wings. So I thought I'd show you guys how we do that real quick here. We'll just knock a few of these out so you get the basic technique. I've got the wing all painted in black, and then I dusted over it a little bit with the iridescent blue, like I mentioned on the other part. So now we're ready to come in and do these panels here. All these little panels have nice little rivet details, so we can easily see where to put our masking tape. And we want to start from the front and work our way to the rear. What they're depicting here on the box art is all the weathering, you know, it's trailing, it's on the trailing edge, so it's like the airflow going over the front. And it's weathering on the rear part of each panel. So we're going to start off here. I've got my my gray paint mixed up in the airbrush. I just used some Tamiya masking tape to make the curve here, and then I backed it up with some regular you know, blue painter's tape. It doesn't like to bend as easy, so I didn't have to be as sharp. But we got our nice curve on there, so we're going to start off by doing each panel. Now I'm just going to take a little piece of this masking tape, and the first one we're going to do is this one right here on the very front, just before the headlight. And you know, you just lay it straight across there like that, follow that little line. I've got that edge sealed there, and we're just going to barely, you guys might not even be able to see much of this going down. Make sure I'm getting a good flow here. I've got this mix really thin. It's like thin, like just about like water. So we don't want a lot. It's going to be very subtle. And so we just go like that. And I'm staying towards the upper half of these. You know, I'm going to the very top of each one that I do. So we've got the first one done there, and I'm going to do a couple of them here like this, and then I'll hold it up and you guys can see it. Actually, I'll show you the one that's already done. That's sitting right next to it here. But we're just going to do the same thing again. And what I've been trying to do is I'll kind of change it up a little bit. Like I'll go straight across on most of it, and then I'll kind of every once in a while I'll go across and just come down on one side just a tiny little bit, you know, just to change it up, make it look like it's got a little bit of variance to it. And sometimes I'll do a little more, you know, on each one than I did the one adjacent to it. But before I go further here, I'll hold this other one up. You can see the shading detail on this. This is the top. And you can see this is the front. I guess I'll show it to you the right way. This is where the headlight is up front here. And then everything flows towards the back, as you can see here. And I finished doing all that with the gray, and then I came back and again dusted off a little bit of blue on it on top of it again. And then sealed it all up with some of my matte. This is the stuff that I've been using a lot lately. This is the Dupli-Color matte wheel clear coat. Works really good. It's a nice, it's not as dull as Tester's dull coat, and it's not glossy either. It's just a really nice, really smooth matte finish. Hopefully you guys are seeing that and the light's not blaring it out, but hopefully you're seeing the blue flash a little bit and you're seeing the shading. Now see, again, like I showed over there, when you turn the light out, it looks just about like it's black, which is but you can still see the shading detail, which I think looks really great. So that's the plan here, guys. So going ahead, I'm just pulling these masks and then moving to the top part of each one. Now, since these are really long, and I'm not worried about, you know, I can keep my control of my air, my paint, from not going down too far. They're stretched apart pretty far. I don't mask the bottom half. I don't worry about getting back here and masking that one. But when I get up onto the panels in the middle, that's when I start doing that. So I'm going to do a few more of these on camera for you. And then we're going to take a pause, and I'll do a couple of the square ones to show you the difference here. Just slightly blending this in. Now, I'm keeping in mind, too, that after I started painting on the first one, I kind of got an idea of how it was going. And so I overdo my gray just a tiny little bit, because when I come back and dust over it with some of the iridescent blue, some of it goes away. And then when I hit it with the clear coat, a lot of it goes away. So it kind of blends it in. And we want to leave some. We don't want it to completely disappear. So I got that balance pretty well figured out. So we just pull this, and I'll just hold it up for you already. You can see what's going on here. We've got that shading going on. And again, it might look a little bold right here, but that will get a little bit less when we do what I just said with the clear and everything. So I'm going to keep on doing that. I'll do one more here for you. You can see I'm just putting it on the, you know, right on that line where that little rivet detail is. And then I'm just hitting it very lightly on the top half. And like I said, sometimes I'll come down a little bit or whatever. Or just do a little bit, you know, more paint, just to change it up so it doesn't look all the same. And I'll just keep working my way around like that. I'll do this, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the some of the square panels and rectangle panels in the center that we're doing. I'll be back in just a second. All right, you guys, well, here I am once more, and you can see I got that outer edge finished up there, and it looks really good. But came out just like we were hoping, the same pattern we've been doing, looking really good. So now I'm going to just go ahead and do a couple of these rectangle shaped panels here for you. There's some, this is the bottom of the wing, and some of these are fairly big. The ones on the top are quite a bit smaller, but it's all the same principle, guys. I'm just going to show you. This one here's a big, almost sort of triangle shaped one that's right right across the center here. Let me check this again. It's a, we got this one right here, little strip. So we'll just do that one. Gonna have to be really thin on the top of that one because it's just barely thick enough to not get paint on the whole thing. Okay, so we'll just do that one there. I'm just gonna go above it and just like bring myself down on the tape. All right. Now this is working great. I'm able to use this tape over and over and over again. I'm hardly using any tape. I've only used about 5 or 6 pieces on this whole thing so far. Okay, so we got that little small one there. Let's see what else we got here. We got a square one that's right behind it, so let's do that one. Now when there's a straight line that runs all the way with multiple panels, I go ahead and, you know, mask that whole length. That way we know that our edges will be lined up when we go to do panels that are right next to each other. And that one ends right there. It's really great that they did all this detail on there for you. It makes it really easy to line everything up. Okay, so we got that big square one right there, maybe a little bit kind of a rectangle. So I'm just going to do the top half first, and then I'm going to kind of drag it down a little bit just in the center. Like I said, just changing it up. I'll bet you on camera it doesn't even look like it's there until I pull the tape. It's just very faint. Okay, and we got this other one right here, just ahead of it. Okay. That's really good. Nice clear lines. I like that. Alright. Ready to do another one. It's going, you can see how it goes by really quick doing it this way. Okay. I went a little bit more on that one. Just like I said, to vary it up a little bit. And I'll just kind of show you how that's going. You can see it's looking really cool, guys. So I'll just be doing that on all these panels here. They're mostly squares and rectangles. Some of them are cut off in kind of a triangle shape, but this little panel here, I'll mask that off and do it by itself. Just dust the upper half of it a little bit. But that's it, guys. A little bit of shading around these raised areas, you know. Then after I finished up all this, I come back with my iridescent blue and just dust over the whole thing. Just kind of make a few streaks. And then we'll go ahead and we'll seal it all up with our wheel finish here when we're done, and that'll be the end of it. So, okay, guys, that's how the wings are looking. I'll come back one more time here after I get this all wrapped up and show you how both wings look all finished up, and we're going to be getting pretty close to, I'll see if we'll be able to do it in this video or not, how long it's running. We're going to, maybe we can get the lower half of the model put together and get the fuselage connected to the wings. That'd be really cool. That's a big step. Be right back with the reveal of how it's going. Okay, everybody, I'm back with you once more for the wrap of the video here. About an hour and a half later or so, and I got all the panel painting done on the wings here. You can see it turned out really nice. We got our shading done on there that we showed you the paint technique, and then I came back and dusted over it with some of that iridescent blue just to give it those little highlights, and it worked out really nice. The wings actually went together perfect. I didn't even have to use any putty on these wings, you guys. The edges fit together so good that I just had to go around the edges with some 320 grit sandpaper and then come back and scuff that with some 600. Then scuff the entire things with my double-aught steel wool, put my Dupli-Color adhesion promoter down on there, and then let loose with the matte black acrylic hobby paint. And it all worked out great. That was where our base was. After I got everything done, I came back after I finished the panel detailing here, and I used some of this Tamiya weathering compound, the stuff in the middle here, the light gunmetal, and I went over all the rivet details, the heads of the rivets, and just brought that detail out a little bit. I think it makes it pop even a little bit more. You know, you see that on airplanes where you see that little wear on the leading edges of the rivets. So that looks really good. Now, you see that if I turn off the light here, too, this is what I was hoping to achieve, that most of that blue disappears. You know, it looks more black like it's supposed to. So that's going to work out really cool. You know, I didn't want the blue to overpower or anything like that. Just when you look at it at a different angle and the light hits it, it'll kind of shimmer a little bit. That's the beauty of that transparent paint. It's really cool stuff. Now you can see up here, I've been actually using photos of the original filming miniature for reference for my detail and stuff. And the model actually still exists. It's a little bit worse for wear, but you can still see most of the detail on it. And I picked up a couple of things when I was looking at it. You can see, number one, these missiles right here. They are, you know, they're fully retracted into the body. Well, on the kit, they have you building them where they stick way out. So I thought that looked kind of goofy, and I'm glad that that's not how they were supposed to be. I wound up cutting them off, just using the tips, and got that looking more like the original. There's a couple little handle grab holds here behind the ejector seat, you know, the typical like you see in a fighter jet. I just made those out of some yellow wire and painted them. That little detail is here on the filming model. And then the last thing I noticed was that there are no markings on this model at all. The paneling shading is there. It's kind of hard to see in some of the photos, but they have pictures from the top, sides, bottom. There are no markings on the model at all. Well, the kit gives you, you know, a whole bunch of little markings that go all over the place, and I was debating on whether I wanted to put them on or not, and I thought they might look kind of cluttered, and I don't know why Batman would have all kinds of little Batman logos all over his wings and stuff. I just didn't, you know, I didn't think that looked that great. So anyway, it turns out they're not supposed to be there anyway, so I didn't wind up using them. So, but everything's great. I got all the lighting tested out now. Everything went together really nice. Everything seems to test fit together really good. I think I'm going to have very little problems with putting the body together with many gaps or anything like that. One little thing I did underneath here that I'll show you too before we wrap this up is I did go ahead and put the blue SMDs into the engine intakes. And when I looked at it, I didn't like it because there was no, you couldn't see any kind of blue glow at all because you know, the whole thing is just open. There was nothing for the light to bounce against, and all you were going to see is a bunch of wires and stuff in there. So I made these little bulkheads out of sheet styrene and just kind of roughly, crudely fit them in there. And then I took some of my screen material here and put it over the top to give it some, like look like some kind of intake screens or something in there. They look kind of crude right here. They don't look that great, but in person, when I had it all put together and looked in there, it looks really cool. And you guys will see that in the next video when I show it all assembled and everything. I think you'll like it a lot better, but that worked out really good. So I guess that's all I can think of, you guys. I'm not going to, it turns out I'm going to have to go get a sub base for this too. I did a mathematical formula that's out there to figure out how much battery power I was going to need, and it was going to be more than what the coin batteries could handle. You can figure out the milliamp hour on a battery spec, and then I took what my amp draw was here when I hooked it up to the power supply with everything combined, and it showed that battery would only run about 20 minutes. So that's not going to be good enough, guys. I'd have a dead battery almost all the time, and you can't recharge those. You have to go out and buy new ones, so I didn't want to hassle with that. It's a great idea if you got a really small little project that only has a few lights in it. I'm sure it'll last a long time, and you can parallel wire a couple of those together too, and get the same voltage, but have more capacity. But I didn't want to monkey around with all that. I might try it on some little small project again in the future or something, but I decided I'll just go ahead with my regular 9-volt power supply like I always do, and I'll get a little wooden base from Hobby Lobby and mount this on top. Then I can put my power switches on there for the power and for the guns, and have a jack coming in the back. In my hobby room, or my model display room, I have everything daisy chained together, where I have a little remote, and I push one button and all my models light up at the same time, and I'll do the same thing with this when I put it in there. But so I guess that's about it, everybody. I think we covered everything. We did a little bit of painting for you. We did some LED work. Like I said, I highly recommend this kit. It's a great little kit. It's inexpensive. It's readily available. It's super fun to build, whether you light it or not. So I hope you guys will go out and grab one. Just been a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I've been finding these little kits lately that I wish I would have built a long time ago. This was a little gem right here. I really liked it. I like the Cylon base too. So, okay, you guys, thanks for checking out the video. We always appreciate it. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Be back in a couple days and show you the grand finale on our Batwing here. Everything's going along really good so far. Keeping my fingers crossed we don't run into any last-minute problems, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll see you next time, everybody, and take care, and happy modeling, everyone.